and welcome to the Village of Orland Park in Focus. I'm Stephanie Owens, and today we are in downtown Orland Park, and currently I'm joining the Old Orland Historic District with Mayor Dan McLaughlin. Thanks for being here today.
Happy to be here.
Now, people are probably wondering, how did downtown Orland Park start?
Well, actually, the downtown we're talking about is about almost 30 acres north of 143rd Street. That we started acquiring property in there probably 15 years ago with the idea that we needed to create a downtown community center. You know, I've been on the village board since 1983, and I always heard, you know, people think, or the kids think, downtown Orland Park is Orland Square. And that bothered me, that we don't have a community center. So we started working on this many years ago, and the plan evolved over years. The plans changed, more properties were acquired, goals were set. But we always wanted to keep in mind that Orland Park started right here in the old part of town, and we wanted to blend it in and kind of complement each other. But downtown isn't just that 27 acres. It's the 27 acres and all the areas around it that are walkable to this town center. So the old part of town plays a big part in the overall plans.
Now, there have been some major improvements that have already been made. Can you talk more about the gateway to Orland Park?
Yeah, I mean, the gateway is actually a big issue because you used to come into Orland Park down Southwest Highway or LaGrange Road, and on the Southwest Highway side of 143rd, there was a lumber company, a cement company, a lot of heavy trucks coming and going. It was always dirty, fall off of the trucks and that. Traffic was backed up. They were just too intense of uses for what's going to be a downtown area. 100 years ago or 75 years ago, a cement company, a lumber company here made sense. It just didn't anymore. So we helped relocate those companies, and we started acquiring more properties in this downtown area, and our plans kind of came together when Metra sat down and did some long-range planning with us on how a new Metra station would fit in. So the new Metra station with a very coordinated, attractive development that combines the old part of town, new development, across the street with the other shopping centers and that, really make a grand entrance into the village. But I do think this whole area, the old part of town where you see the antique stores and walking distance to the restaurants and all the shopping that's going to be in the downtown area, I think just make it a very pedestrian-friendly area that people will be attracted to.
Now, what areas exactly are included in the downtown Orland Park?
Well, we've got the crossing shopping centers on the east side of LaGrange Road, and we worked with IDOT for a number of years actually to get new 142nd Street intersection there so people can go from one side to the other. We're also going to make it pedestrian friendly at grade crossing. I know that sounds kind of challenging, crossing what will be 6 lanes of traffic, but just like downtown Chicago where you have Michigan Avenue and some major thoroughfares that Lakeshore Drive that people cross, if you make the at-grade crossing pedestrian friendly, you have a break in the middle, medium where people can stop halfway. You got the timer on the light so you know how much time you have to cross. It's a wider sidewalk, more attractive. It does encourage the pedestrian traffic. But in addition, we want to have an overpass, so that'll be about 141st, just this side of the tracks. An overpass where people can bike and walk across LaGrange Road over without having to worry about the traffic. So actually there's going to be a couple of pedestrian-friendly ways to get on each side of LaGrange Road. So when you tie in you asked about what's all included, you got the shopping center on the east side of LaGrange, the 27-acre downtown area, and then rolling kind of into and blending into this old part of town that's so attractive, and the antique stores make it such a kind of a nice old-fashioned part of town.
Mr. Mayor, you keep mentioning pedestrian friendly. What other areas are within walking distance from downtown Orland Park?
Well, actually, from this 27 acres I keep referring to, which is kind of the center of the downtown, I mentioned the Crossing Shopping Center in the old part of town, but also it's only 4 blocks to our Civic Center, Village Hall, Township Office, Recreation Building. So our government corridor is very close walk as well. So people that need to do business with the village or the township, Secretary of State's office for license, that kind of thing, it's all 3 or 4 blocks away. So you got that. But I will add that within a mile walking distance or so, hundreds of thousands of square feet of shopping and restaurants. So this downtown corridor in the center of this downtown is within not much of a walk of an awful lot of activity and opportunities. So
now the village has been known for restoring and preserving its rich history. What is the ultimate goal? How is the past going to be blended with the future?
Well, actually, there's a lot of long-range plans. I mean, you can only accomplish so much every year, but we've spruced up this part of town some. We put in the brick pavers and did some landscaping, and we're trying to encourage with some facade programs for the buildings in this area to kind of improve their look. But we're also talking about combining a walkable, historic, almost like Boston, where you can walk from these older buildings that are historic buildings to some buildings that are actually on the historic register with the state. Be able to walk and have places to stop and rest, and just kind of have a walking tour of Old Orland. So there's a lot of things planned, and it's going to take place over several years, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about the whole plan coming together.
It all sounds really exciting. Thank you for joining us today, Mayor McLaughlin, and stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Patty Blasney from the Village of Orland Park, and you're watching Orland Park Television.
Hi Orland Park, my name is Victoria Van Cavorden, and today I am joined by Village Clerk Dave Maher. Now Dave, we understand that the Village Clerk is the librarian and also the official record keeper for the village, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now how many years have you been doing this?
I came here in 1996, which would be 16 years, and I was appointed by the mayor in September of that year.
Great. Now we are in the hub of Village Center, in the boardroom of Village Hall. Can you talk a little bit about the architecture?
I can. The Village Hall was opened in November of 1989. It is presently named after our past president of the village, Frederick Owens. It is the hub of village government. This is where the board meetings are held here. This is where all the administration works. All the directors are in here. So it is the central focal point of the village.
What other buildings are here?
Actually, this is a quad center. We have the Village Hall, we have the Civic Center, we have the Rec Center, and we also have Frank Levy Center. So there's 4 buildings included. And you could also put in the old police station, which is now moved. But so there were originally 5 buildings there.
Now this building was named for Fred Owens. Can you tell us a little bit more about his role in the instrumental development of it?
Well, Fred was originally a trustee in Orland Park for 6 years, then ran for mayor, and at that time the Village Hall was still on Beacon Avenue. And through Fred's creativity and the cooperation of the board at that time, Fred came up with the initial plans and idea of a new Village Hall.
Now before this new Village Hall was opened in 1989, where was it located?
It was located in the old part of town on Beacon Avenue, and it was built very close to the first mayor of Orland Park, John Humphrey. And in fact, it was so close he would walk to work every day.
Great. Now thank you so much for all the information today, Dave. I appreciate it.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Now we're going to toss it over to Dan, who's going to talk about the old Civic corridor.
Hello, I'm Dan Nevinger, and I'm here today at the Orland Crossing, and I'm joined with Carrie Freiling, the Director of Development Services. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Orland Crossing here?
Sure. This project was originally approved back in 2000 by the Village Board, and where we're sitting today is basically a mixed-use development. Very pedestrian-oriented, similar to the other areas of the downtown area. Originally, it was 66 acres that included residential, commercial, retail space, restaurants, and office space as well. So phase 1 is completed for the project, and we're looking forward for phase 2 to be completed in the near future.
And how exactly would you say that it ties into downtown Orland Park?
The vision for the downtown is the same regardless of the areas. This was one of the first projects that came into the downtown back in the early 2000s. The vision hasn't changed in the last 12 years. It's still pedestrian oriented, it's still focused on people, a sense of place, making sure that it's a place you want to come and be and shop and be entertained. It's not your typical suburban development that you think about in the Chicago area.
Now, I've grown up in Orland Park most of my entire life, and I've seen many beautiful things come up. What exactly can we see in the future? What visions do we have?
Well, I think we want to see the physical connection between the Orland crossings and the Main Street Triangle area, which is immediately adjacent across the street. We have the pedestrian bridge that's under construction right now, which is a physical connection that's going to allow pedestrians and bikes to cross between the two over LaGrange Road into our bike path, which is a regional bike path. You're going to see the pedestrian orientation tied together at the 142nd Street signal that just went in last year. And we want to continue to promote the synergy between the two developments. It's not competing against each other, it's how you tie the two of them together.
Now, as you plan for the future, how exactly do you tie everything into downtown Orland Park?
Well, as you know, the downtown is a much larger area. It includes the Triangle, it includes the Historic District, it includes the Civic Corridor, and it includes Orland Crossings where we're standing today. The way we physically plan that and we tie it all together is through the Village Center District, which is our zoning district that we're standing in today. That district sets out the vision for the future. It ties everything together. It includes architectural standards. It includes what the planning principles are. It includes density. It includes the mix of uses. And that is a code that the village adopted many years ago that we use as our guiding principle to pull it all together.
Well, Carrie, I'd like to thank you for taking the time and joining me today and telling us a little bit about downtown Orland Park. And I'm Dan Nevinger, and we'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Trustee Kathy Fenton, and you're watching Orland Park Television.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Owens, and we're outside the Village Hall now, and joining us is Trustee Jim Dodge. Thanks for being here today.
No problem. Good morning.
Now we're outside in the Civic Corridor. Can you explain to us what the Civic Corridor is and what buildings make it up?
Sure. There's a number of buildings, and I'm glad you said corridor because it runs from the sort of the Humphrey Woods near 144th all the way down to 151st, and that was part of the original vision for the area. So we're right here next to the Fred Owens Village Hall. We named this hall after Fred Owens, who was a great mayor. I worked with him when I was first elected village clerk. And then just to the north of us, we have the police station, which is one of the original police stations in this area, which we quite frankly outgrew. So as Orland Park grew, we knew that to cover this big of a town, we needed a bigger police station. So we had to move the police station down to a building I'll talk about in a second. And then behind us, behind the Village Hall, you have the Franklin Labey Recreation Center, which was also named after a great character in Orland's history. Franklin Labey worked for the village, which I think is, to this day, I still think is amazing. 65 years. And I think the most fun fact about Franklin Labey is he was a village treasurer, and he did everything in a pen that his father gave him. And so he was so precise and so good at what he did that he did all of his work in a pen, which I just can't even conceptualize. You can do all of your work in a pen. So we named that building for him because he was an instrumental player in a long stretch of Orland's history. And then over here we have the Civic Center, which was built with village and state money to be an exposition center, a place for large meetings, and we've built some additions to it. We renamed that, or named that, in honor of Bill Vogel, who was a long-serving trustee and a great member of our community leader, dedicated public servant. And after he passed, we named that building for him. A little bit farther down on Ravinia, as you're going north to south, we have a building that was acquired by the township, which was great because then we have a consolidation of all the governmental services. So the township is here, and right next to it is the brand new library, which we think is a great hallmark piece in Orland Park. The original idea was to have a center of governmental units, buildings, so we can serve everyone and be as close to the center of the geography as Orland as possible, but be off the commercial corridor of LaGrange because you want to preserve that for business development. And we thought this is a great location in terms of connecting to the parks and being, just center of gravity for the whole town. And one of the things we're most pleased about is the boulevard design, and the design gives us a lot of open space, which is why we love the idea of having our Taste of Orland here for a number of years. So it's a great facility for Orland.
Now, you mentioned the boulevard design, and the original concept for the Civic Corridor was for it to be pedestrian friendly, and it's finally becoming pedestrian friendly. What are your feelings on that?
Well, more and more people are walking and getting out of their cars, which we think is great, and the fact that they could park in any one of these parking lots for Labey, for the Village Hall, for the Civic Center or the library, and do what they have to do with local units of government, from the police station up to the new building, the Village Hall, and what we're now using for the old Village Hall. and they can just park once and walk. And so we're trying to make sure we have sidewalks and green open space, so it's a great boulevard feel from 143rd to all the way down to essentially 159th. But the municipal complex or the governmental buildings go to about 151st.
You also talked about the original concept. Can you tell us more about the architecture and the importance of it?
Yeah, the centerpiece was the Village Hall, and it was an award-winning building, and the ponds that are surrounding it and the way we laid it out is very much to do with the environmental sensitivity and flood control, but also to treat that as an amenity, so the lower level looks out over the lake, as we like to call it, and it just adds a nice feel. Because of the resources, the Humphrey family, or the Humphrey estate, dedicated the Humphrey Woods to us, so we're going to keep that as open space forever, and it connects to some of the other parks. But the idea was to have a centerpiece that was very functional and very beautiful, which we think we've accomplished, and it's fit us pretty well. So when we first moved in here, you have to settle into a new building and you got to work out what departments are where, but we're very comfortable with how it works as a building so that we can get our jobs done to serve the people of Orland Park.
Thanks for joining us today, Trustee Dodge.
Thank you.
And stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Garrett Grimes, and you are watching Village of Orland Park Television.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa O'Toole and we are in the Main Street area of the Village of Orland Park's downtown. And I'd like to welcome Chris Curlis. Chris is the Vice President of Development for Flaherty and Collins. We are here in front of 9750 on the park, and Chris, you're very involved in this project. We're here today to talk about this great area and to really learn more about what is available for residents and people who want to become members of our community.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. This is a very exciting project. We've been involved now for about 3 years. The project in general is 295 apartment units, all for rent, 4,000 square feet of retail commercial space on the first level, about 12,000 square feet of amenities that will be private for the residents, and 389 parking spaces that will be in a secure garage. Most of those are for the residents, and then there'll be a handful for the public as well.
Excellent. Now you mentioned that this area has lots and lots of amenities. What specifically do you mean by that?
The amenities outside of the area amenities meaning the forest preserve, the bike trails, all the existing commercial that's around the property is one thing, but the private residential amenities will consist of a leasing office, an aqua lounge, a billiards area. We've got a private gaming lounge. We're going to have interactive gaming up there available. We've got a business center, a conference room, a 2-story fitness room that's about 2,000 square feet. We've got a pool deck that will have an outdoor living room, an outdoor TV, grills, dog parks, pet washes, you name it, we've got it.
And you have already seen quite a bit of interest in this property because, as you explained, the amenities are just tremendous. This is going to draw a wide diversity or types of people who are looking to relocate here.
Absolutely, yeah. And one thing, as we've seen a shift in the home ownership, more renters are now in the market. We've picked up about 4 million renters, countrywide over the past few years. And so as a result of that, you're starting to see more and more pre-leasing with apartments.
Okay.
We launched a temporary website a couple months ago just to get the name out there and get kind of what we're offering. And to date with that website, we've had about 200 pieces of traffic where people have gone online, they filled out information, and then we just launched our preview center last week. And in less than 1 week, we've got 9 reservations already, which is outstanding.
That is outstanding. So this is an apartment complex that's really for people regardless of their age range, their situation in life. It really is going to meet a lot of needs depending upon where you are in life.
Absolutely, and we design from the unit layout to the amenities that we go through and ultimately decide what's going to make it in the project. Mm-hmm. We think of everyone in mind, not just a young professional or an empty nester. There's really something for everyone. For the young professional that maybe wants to live by the action and entertainment, they can get a pool view on the first level and they can be right by all the action. someone that might want a little more quiet, intimate atmosphere can have a unit that's on the courtyard where you've got a couple water fountains,
Right.
some green space, and more relaxing
Gotcha.
environment.
Now, briefly describe for us what we're standing in front of, because of course we're looking at something in its earlier stages.
Right.
The bottom floor is going to be retail or businesses, with the upper levels going to be structured as apartments.
That's correct. Yeah, what we're looking at right here, all of this is retail. There'll be a patio that wraps around. We actually, happy to announce, yesterday we signed a lease with Amano Vivir Cafe, which is taking 1,200 square feet along the Crescent, and it's going to be a coffee shop slash kind of art gallery. They're going to have pastries, but it'll be an excellent use that'll complement the residential.
Right.
We've got another space available that's about 3,000 feet, and right now we're talking to folks that are interested, and then
Great.
apartments all above that.
And of course, some of this location is already finished. You border the train station. What a wonderful opportunity for people who either work downtown or, of course, just want to take advantage of all the amenities downtown.
Absolutely. When we first started working on this 3 years ago, I personally have not seen such a great site, and all the components that we ever would imagine or dream of for a project are right here. We've got the bike trails, you've got the metro station, you've got a public park, you've got the forest preserves, and you've got all the commercial and retail base already here. The one thing that was missing was the residential and the density and apartments. I mean, ultimately this whole project, Main Street project part of downtown, is 20 acres. Our project's on about 3.5 acres.
Okay.
So there's a lot more to come. This gets the momentum that we need, the rooftops here, the people living here to create the environment. And as we've already seen, retailers are starting to call us.
No
So
doubt. Let's get back to that rooftop for a minute. Before we started taping, you mentioned the view. Tell us about that view.
It's quite incredible. It's about 65 feet up in the air is the top level of the residential around the Crescent and above the retail. And on a clear day, you can see the skyline of Chicago.
Okay.
Views of the forest preserve. You can see everything. It's quite spectacular.
So this is an area where you can literally have your cake and eat it too.
That's exactly right.
You mentioned also before that there's a website that people can go to learn more.
Right. Yeah, www.9750.com is our website. We've just launched our permanent website, which is the full website. You can get the floor plans, pricing information there. And we just finished a three-dimensional fly-through of the amenity space. You can view that on the website as well. And then in addition, we've got our preview center that we just opened.
Okay, and where is that preview center located?
It's in the Orland Plaza Mall, just outside of the construction fence. We'll be there for about 3 more months, and then we're going to get a leasing trailer that'll be in about the same location once the plaza is demolished.
Exactly. So tell me a little bit about time frame. How's that looking right now? We're, of course, taping our program late in October. So what's the time frame looking like for you in terms of completion and occupancy?
The total project will be completed, meaning everyone will be off-site. You won't see any construction by about the end of next summer, so August of 2013. Our first units are going to be available for occupancy. So our first residents will actually move in the building in mid to late March of 2013. So 4 or 5 months from now, we'll open this to what people will be calling home.
Right around the corner. Chris, thank you so much. Is there a phone number that people should also be aware of? They can look on the website, but also is there a contact phone number for you?
We just hired a local resident, Mimi, who is our leasing manager.
Okay.
The property website will have the phone number and everything of who to call. It goes directly to her, and she takes care of everything from there.
Excellent. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lisa.
Once again, Chris Curlis is the Vice President of Development for Flaherty and Collins. And I am Lisa O'Toole. We want to thank you for joining us for Orland Park in Focus, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.